Hey everybody, Jeff Miller here, head of GMAT instruction for Target Test Prep. I have a fun video to talk with everyone about today. We are going to do some tips for the weeks and days leading up to your GMAT, as well as some tips for test day. If you can follow these tips, you are going to be that much more successful on your GMAT. Tip number one, prioritize your well-being in the days leading up to the GMAT. Now look, this might seem obvious. Of course you want to prioritize your well-being, right? But we are so stressed in the week leading up to our GMAT because we know what it means to get a great score and what that means for your business school chances, right? I don't care. You need to relax. You need to start visualizing your success on the test. Make sure you're starting to hydrate. Make sure you're eating properly. Don't do a ton of studying. Make sure you're sleeping well. I realize you may have some stressors at work that you can't avoid, but do your best to avoid them. Sometimes your work knows you're taking the GMAT. Heck, if they do, let them know so that they can be a little easier on you the days leading up to the test. If they don't know, then just do your best to try not to stress out. The point is you want to be in a position where you are feeling the best you can possibly be walking into the test. And look, if your test is months out, this whole idea of hydrating properly and eating well, do it now. There's no sense in waiting just till the days before your exam. Get those healthier habits going, exercise more, start feeling good physically and mentally, and believe me, all of that's going to pay off on test day. Tip number two, do some warm-up questions before going into your GMAT, either at the test center or at home if you're taking the GMAT online. Makes sense, right? Think about anything you do. Think about a recital. Think about if you play a sport. You're always doing warm-up questions or warm-up things before the real thing, right? It's no different with the GMAT. You don't want to walk into your test and feel like someone punched you in the gut because you're not prepared for what's to come your way. You want your brain to be warm. And those practice questions, if you do a few gimmies, they're going to make you feel confident, like, okay, I remember the area of a circle or the ratio of sides of a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. You can see that you can take those things that you've learned and apply them even on the day of the exam. So do some warm-up questions. It'll make you feel great. Go in, knock it out of the park. Tip number three, something I talk about a lot, mentally prepare for the ups and downs on the GMAT. Undoubtedly, I don't care if you are going to get a 780 or a 650 on the test or a 540. There will be ups and downs. This is just how the GMAT works. And what makes you good and successful on the test is how you react to the ups and downs, right? Let's say question one, you should get it, right? But something isn't clicking. Well, are you going to spend 5 minutes and then kick rocks for the rest of the test? No. You're going to guess, you're going to move on, and you're going to live to fight another day. Or if in the middle of the test, you see a question and you think it's easy, well, don't worry about that. It could be an experimental question. Or if you know that you fell for some sort of trap answer, 5 questions after answering a question, again, do not worry about it. There's a lot of opportunities for you to succeed on the test, and a few mistakes here and there won't be the end of you as long as your reaction to them is sound and positive and you know that you're moving forward to keep fighting through the GMAT. Tip number four, don't try to determine how well you're doing during the test. This is tough. I know it. I've been there. I've been in the GMAT. I've been in the thick of it, and I've said, man, how am I doing? Am I getting close to where I need to be? Am I far off where I need to be? The problem is you don't know. I can tell you for myself, one time I took the GMAT, I thought I was getting my butt handed to me in Quant. Turns out I wasn't. Well, what happened? I went into the verbal section feeling a little bit down and out, and lo and behold, my verbal score dropped. I hear this from students constantly, all the time. You can't let how you feel about something affect you because you truly don't know. That means if you get an easy question in the middle of the test, which I mentioned earlier, you don't know why. You don't know if it's experimental. You don't really know the exact algorithm. So don't let that psych you out for the rest of that section and, of course, the sections that follow. Stay even-keeled. Just focus on the problem in front of you. And I promise you, if you're well prepared, you will come out in a good shape on your GMAT. Tip number five, this kind of deals with something we just spoke about. Don't worry about the section you just completed. Same deal. If you go through a quant section and you think that you didn't do well, you don't know. No one's giving you a score. So you can't let your feelings on how that went affect you through the next section. And look, let's say you did do bad in the quant section. What's the harm in trying to bust your butt to do as good as you possibly can on verbal? And then at least you can leave that test saying, you know what? I crushed verbal. Sure, I had some issues with quant, but I'm gonna regroup. I'm gonna get back on the horse. I'm gonna study for quant, keep my verbal where it is, and crush the test next time. So there's no point in being upset and letting that affect you on how you go through the rest of the exam. Tip number 6, don't worry if you struggle with the first few questions. It's normal. When I took the GMAT, I think without fail, every time I saw the first question, regardless of how pumped up I was, how prepared I was, it always just affected me in this way where it's almost as if I had to get the jitters out. Sometimes I think I could get it right or close with a guess, and other times I recall having to guess and move on. It's just something that happens, but you can't let that affect you for the rest of the section. Dust off the cobwebs and keep moving. Yes, I know we talked about doing warm-up questions so it doesn't happen. If it does, it's not the end of the world, I promise you. You're not going to be in this dark hole as far as the algorithm is concerned and be unable to get yourself out of it. You can succeed, you can get an amazing quant score, amazing verbal score, regardless of how that goes. Finally, tip number 7, this is an easy one, be confident. If you have done everything that I always ask you to do in my videos in terms of how to study, how to work hard, how to make GMAT prep your priority, and you're doing well in your practice exams, then you're good to go. That confidence needs to shine through. Again, to talk about something relatable to the GMAT, any sport, anytime you're playing an instrument, even if you're public speaking, when you're confident, you feel better. When you're not confident, things can go awry in a hurry. So you need to the week and the months leading up to that GMAT, know that you're working your butt off, you feel good, you know your stuff, and you're gonna knock this thing out of the park. And if that confidence shines through on test day, I don't see any reason why you're not leaving your GMAT with achieving your score goal. So that concludes today's video. I had a blast talking about some tips you can follow for the days leading up to your GMAT and of course on test day. If you can follow these tips, if you can be confident, if you can not let things affect you on test day, and overall just walk in there like a GMAT machine, I'm confident you're gonna knock the GMAT out of the park. If you enjoyed today's video, please subscribe to our channel. And as always, if you want to see me do other videos, leave a comment, reach out to us. We're happy to do them in coming weeks. Thanks again for watching, and we'll talk soon.